you're the prosecutor, you have to be concerned about doing justice for everybody, not just for the victim, not just for the family of the victim, not just for the youth of Baltimore, but also for the accused, for the policemen who have been accused and who may have been scapegoated. Look, I understand why she wanted to try to quell the riots, and she did a good job doing that. But you can't sacrifice individual defendants to the need to stop riots. This trial can't proceed in Baltimore. It'll have to move out of Baltimore, and it will need a new prosecutor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that, of course, was Alan Dershowitz. Joining us now, the one and only Ben Stein, film actor, author, speechwriter for Presidents Nixon and Ford. And Ben, welcome back, sir.
Oh, hi. This is Ben's wife. Yeah, he can talk to you just that.
Oh, okay.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Ben. All right, we're on now. So we just played a clip of Alan Dershowitz, and I know you're in sync with Alan on when it comes to the Baltimore situation. You wrote a great piece about how lead is a lousy excuse as they try to, and maybe he was a victim of lead poisoning, the young man who died in police custody, but. This whole case is falling apart at the seams, Ben.
Well, the whole case never was there. It's just a case of lynch mob justice. It's just a case of trying to please an angry crowd. And this woman has no qualifications to be a prosecutor or a state's attorney. I mean, this woman is just a politician running for office on the over the dead letters of the U.S. Constitution.
No, you're absolutely right, and of course now, she charged two of the officers because she said the arrest was unlawful imprisonment. He never should have been arrested because the knife was legal in Maryland. But now the cops are saying, wait a minute, it might have been legal in Maryland, but it wasn't legal in Baltimore, and they've gone to court to get custody and show everybody the knife.
Well, if I may go back to this, since I am a lawyer myself and I follow law enforcement fairly closely, he was a known drug dealer loitering in an area known to be a center for drug trafficking. He fled when the police tried to talk to him. Those are all causes for arrest, especially evading is an unequivocal case for arrest. So the knife is one thing, but the evading is not even it's not even a close case. It's absolutely clear cut.
All right, let's move to Texas if we can. I had Mike Huckabee on at the top of the show. One of the things I asked him was, what kind of world is the world not upside down when Bill O'Reilly and Greta Van Susteren both are criticizing the event organizers for having the event in Texas instead of coming down on against the terrorists?
Right, I don't understand that. I mean, it is a question of free speech. That's what America is founded on. It probably was pretty foolish of her to do that, but that's what America is about people having the right to speak foolishly or to organize foolish events, and people do not have the right to come to those events with guns and try to kill people. So it probably was a mistake, and I'm not saying just out of self-preservation. I wouldn't want my son organizing such an event, but that's what the Constitution is based on. And Greta Van Susteren is a terribly intelligent woman, but I think in this case she doesn't have it totally right.
Yeah, well, all her argument was, how dare they put the police in a situation where they might get hurt? Well, because it's protected under the First Amendment. What about a protest or a protest march? Chances are someone might get hurt, so you're going to cancel protests because a policeman might get hurt? And what if they said...
Right, well, that's a very, very poor excuse, and I don't know. Greta is a wonderful woman. Bill's a great guy. Bill is an incredibly important voice, and so Greta is an incredibly important voice, so I don't want to criticize them too much, but we do know that we don't want to lose sight of the principles of the First Amendment, and we certainly don't want to lose sight of the right for people to be considered innocent until proven guilty, and we do not want lynch mob justice. I mean, that's the main thing. And we also don't want this nonsense about lead paint poisoning. That's never been proved that that's a real cause of retardation or poor discipline in school. It's in China, which no one thinks of as being a center of poor discipline in school or laziness. They have enormously more lead paint, the lead poisoning and lead exposure in the blood than we do. For some reason, the Chinese never make an excuse about that.
Yeah, no, and your piece, everybody should check it out at spectator.org. Lead is a lousy excuse by Ben Stein. I want to really quickly ask you your take on Ben Carson, Carly Fiorina, and Mike Huckabee, the latest to announce.
Well, I love Mike Huckabee. I think he's an incredibly talented, funny guy, and a genuinely religious guy who has great religious principles. Ben Carson, to me, is not a serious candidate. He has no experience whatsoever on the national scene. The few times I've seen him interviewed, I've been extremely disappointed. Carly Fiorina, I think, has some bad stains left on her from her days as a corporate chieftain. I don't think anyone seriously thinks that she's presidential timber. I don't know where she got the idea in her head that she was. We've got some very, very good candidates. Rubio is a great candidate. Jeb Bush is a great candidate. For those who are on that line of thinking, Rand Paul has his points. I'm not on that line of thinking, but we have some good candidates. But the last three you named are just are not on my list.
All right, Ben, great to talk to you, sir. Enjoy
Always
the nice
great
weather.
To talk to you.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. Ben
Thank
Stein,
you.
ladies
Bye.
and gentlemen. And folks, we'll be back. But first, we're bringing back our call-in segment here on the Steve Malzberg Show, and we want you to be a part of it. So send us an email. Send us an email to callsteve@newsmax.com. Callsteve@newsmax.com and tell us how we could contact you during the course of the day so that we could set up your conversation with me right here on this very show. Now, let me ask you, are you a deadhead? I never was a deadhead. That means liking the Grateful Dead, of course. Up next, Rolling Stone journalist David Brown, who's written a great book on the Grateful Dead.